Welcome to the Art of Healing podcast, the podcast that is dedicated to helping you connect with your mind, body, and spirit. This is Charlize, physician and Reiki master, and thank you so much for joining me. I would like to remind you that although I'm a physician, the information you receive in this podcast is for educational and entertainment purposes only. You can find my full disclaimer at my website, www.healingartshealthandwellness.com. If you like what you hear on this podcast, sign up for my weekly newsletter. Check your show notes for more information and for the link to sign up. Thank you. Welcome back to the Art of Healing podcast. This is Charlize, and thank you for joining me for this month of April. We practice with grounding our energy all month, and I wanted to close the month a little differently. So previous podcast episodes, we close each month with a meditation, but I thought this month we kind of got quite a bit of that done with each of these episodes. Feel free, if you missed any, to go back and have a listen. So I wanted to share with you listeners a personal practice of mine that I've actually been doing for years. And I decided I should share, especially just, for inspiration for those of you that might already do this, or if you hadn't thought of using this. For the last few years, I usually start my morning by using oracle or tarot cards. I love to journal, I love to read, and I had purchased my first few decks of cards some years ago, and it just slowly evolved that I started to pull cards for myself every day. So sometimes I have a question, sometimes I just pull a card just to, kind of see what's going to happen. But one of my favorite practices is I like to use a deck called the Lightseer Tarot by Chris-Anne. And this deck, which is based on tarot, but has some iterations that make it a little bit more, a lot more user-friendly to the modern person. We can use it to find our light and our shadow. So for this month, I wanted to close the episode by pulling a card for all of us in this podcast community. So I pulled two cards for us, and I'll make sure to share those in the newsletter. I'll share the pictures of those. But I just asked a question of the card, just like, hey, general, for this community, this Art of Healing community, what do we want to know to close out this month? So I hope that's okay. I know the cards might be sort of a new thing for you. It might be something that you use all the time, but I tell you, I have found that using my cards every morning and then reflecting on what I pulled that morning has been a great personal development tool. It's really helped me to see things I need to see about myself, about the world around me. It's really helpful, especially looking back days and weeks later on information that really was available to me, but my conscious mind may have been blocking it. So for us, I pulled a Lightseer card and a Shadowseer card. So our first card is where as a community we're shining, and how you can apply this to yourself is, all of us listeners, all of us, be the speaker, all of us together, our general energy. What are we accelerating at or doing the best? And we pulled in this Lightseer deck the 10 of Pentacles. And this card highlights spiritual and material abundance, community, wealth, and prosperity. And so I just was tickled pink when I asked my cards and my guides for this community, these listeners and me, what do we want to know? And what this card is sharing with us is that this is an energy of abundance. And I know I definitely feel that as being the primary speaker, but even as a listener, your energy connects with me and other listeners. And there definitely is a feeling of abundance, of growth as this podcast has grown up. It's definitely a feeling of evolving, just a really cool sort of spreading acceptance. And the 10 of Pentacles definitely confirms that that's the general energy of this podcast, us as is a community right now. And then in your own life, some of the lessons you might want to take from this 10 of Pentacles is that this abundance can be present in any way you desire. So if this is abundance of family, abundance of positive financial health, if this is abundance of networking connections, it's of abundance of romantic love, that the energy is there for that. So pretty cool. So wherever you are in your life, it's nice to know that as a community, we pulled this abundance card, the 10 of Pentacles. So lessons to be learned from this card. This card is a big energy card. So it might be good to keep in mind as you're taking this in, listening, thinking about what's happening in your life, that abundance could be there. So you'll definitely want to try to keep it positive, because that bigger energy, you could maybe attract things that you don't quite want to attract. So just keeping in mind that maybe this is where you are, and it seems like the community is at a place to attract this nice, abundant energy. And the card is nice. It's one of my favorite cards in it, because it's got a smiling couple, and they have this large family, and they're enjoying a great time together and sort of looking at each other thinking like, wow, look what we've created. And the children, to me, I interpret, imply that there's this abundant future, because they're the potential of what comes next. So that's our light seer as a community. So that first card, that shines a light on where we're accelerating. It's shining a light on where you're doing well in your life. So where you may want to put more energy. In this deck, a shadow seal card is also used. So in the world of card reading, you can use cards that are reversed, which mean the opposite meaning. We won't get into all of that. We'll talk more about using oracle cards in your healing journey, but at least for right now, we pulled a card. I pulled a card for us to look at our shadows. So our shadows in terms of this reading, this deck, are places that we want to shine a light on. There may be the dark corners we don't want to see. Maybe where the dust is hiding. Maybe we want to air these out a little bit just to be aware of where we can grow, where we can shine, what might be holding us back. So as a community, I shuffled the deck a whole bunch and shuffled it some more. I did some Reiki on it. And then I asked for a message for all of us. And the card I got back was the Hierophant. And the Hierophant card is a card that can mean lessons of enlightenment, could reference a spiritual leader or someone that's a guru. In terms of the shadow, what this reminds us, and in your own life, as you're listening to this, applying to your own life, is that the Hierophant in our shadows may be reminding us of outdated systems or ways of thinking that no longer serve us. Globally, so for all of us listening, for you listeners, we're all over the globe. There's listeners almost on every continent. So what this might mean for us is that in your life, there may be outdated systems that you work with in your home, or outdated systems at work, or outdated systems in your community, your government, everywhere. It's not necessarily saying overturn them or anything like that. It's simply allowing you to maybe accept that something that is done a certain way all the time, it may be okay to question it. It may be okay to experiment with doing things in a new way. As a shadow card, this card also reminds us, if you are in a leadership position, to be mindful of leading from a place of love rather than of ego. So leading from a place of love in your family, with your children, or with others you work with, that if you're in the position that you lead others, simply to be mindful of how you're leading, and maybe like what you see are the end goals. Are they the goals that actually serve the community and as a whole? So I hope that this shorter podcast was fun for you. I've actually wanted to do some card readings for us for a while. And depending on how you all feel about it, we could definitely do some more of those. But I'll share a little bit more info in the newsletter that comes out this week about these cards, about what we pulled. And if you have more questions, I will always put in the show notes how to reach me. So thank you so much for joining me for this month. I hope this was a grounding month and helped with anxiety. And we will connect soon. Thanks. Bye-bye. Thank you so much for joining me for this episode of the Art of Healing podcast. Once again, this is Charlize. You can find out more about me at www.healingartshealthandwellness.com. Did you know I have a blog as well as online courses? Check your show notes to sign up for more information about healing arts, health, and wellness. Thank you. Please feel free to share this episode with your friends, family, and loved ones.